Okay, hello and welcome to the Community Legal Centres Australia class training session for today. Today we're running through user management and admin tools for administrators. I'm just going to quickly check. Hopefully you can all hear. If not, you may need to select your audio device or something to be able to hear. I'll begin today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands on which we meet. I'm coming to you from the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. I'd like to recognise that sovereignty was never ceded, and also recognise the valuable contribution to this country that the Indigenous peoples of this country continue to make. And I'd also like to pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. If you want to pop the names of the lands that you're coming to us from today into the chat, we like to see that. My name's Samuel Martin. I'm on the ICT team at CLCs Australia, and we have Alex Ariti facilitating this meeting today. Normally, we would just ask people to put their questions, if they have any questions, into the chat function, which you can find in your control panel there. We have a low number of attendees today, so if you guys have questions, feel free to unmute yourself. If you're not able to do that, which you may not be able to, just pop something into that little chat function there, and ask if you can come off mute to ask a question. I'll also let you know that this session is being recorded today. Okay, so let's get started with this. We'll try not to take too long. We've got a few things to discuss today, so we're going through user management and admin tools. We'll start with user management. And the first thing to talk about today is security. So class admins, this is just a friendly reminder that class admins have a responsibility to maintain the security of the class system, as it does contain confidential client information. So it's just a little friendly reminder to make sure the accounts for your centre are up to date, that there's no accounts that are still active for someone who may not be working at your centre. Just a little reminder there. So we'll go through all the functions that we have today, all the functions that we have in class in regards to class users. That includes creating accounts, updating accounts, checking accounts, setting roles and permissions, and then deleting accounts as well, which is not actually what we do, but there are a couple of options there in terms of removing user accounts from class. Now, if any of you have heard me do class training presentations before, you will have heard me say that one of our favourite quotes at CLCs Australia is that class is not too difficult, it's just not very intuitive. You're probably sick of hearing me say that, or some of you are. Anyway, the reason I bring that up again is that user management is one of the systems within class that falls within that quote, that phrase, probably the most. It's a little bit confusing. I'll show you exactly how it works and how it's been designed today. But we do get a fair bit of trouble with this. So I will show you the correct ways to manage user accounts. Okay, we'll begin with creating a user account. Okay, so when we're looking at user accounts, we go to the bottom here and system settings. Once you go to system settings, this is where people get confused, because if you're doing anything else with user accounts, you click on user accounts. When you're creating user accounts, it doesn't work that way. So this is a little bit confusing, but when you're creating user accounts, you come to system settings, then click on workers. So when creating user accounts, system settings, workers, then you click new to create a new one. And I'll just run through this little thing as well. We recommend that, excuse me, that anyone who's associated with your centre, so there might be someone who sits on the board of the centre, we recommend you enter them into class as workers. You don't need to give them a user account so that they can log into class. You can enter them into class as a worker simply for conflict check purposes. We also recommend that people like tradesmen who might be coming through your office who might just have the chance of seeing some confidential client information on a screen somewhere, we recommend that they be entered into class as workers as well. Obviously not giving them a user login to access the system, but just simply entering them in as workers, just for conflict check purposes. So once we come to system settings and then workers, we get a worker ID auto-generated. Title is not required, so you don't need that. I'm just going to put something general in here, and I'll come back to that later, after the session that is. So you just enter the information, whatever information you want to put in here, their commencement date, job description, anything like that. So the only required fields are the first name and last name. And then the email address is also required. I will show you a little trick that we have at CLCs Australia. We open Gmail accounts for ourselves. What you can then do is use your Gmail account multiple times, which I'm going to do right now. I think I'm up to 13, but we'll see in a minute. So what happens here is that everything, this plus and everything after it, the plus and everything between that and the @ symbol is ignored. So class will then send an email to this email address, but it will remove the plus and the number in there. So that's a little Gmail trick if you have if you have people who need a second account or something like that. So once you've got your information in there, you simply click save. Now, so this is that is what you would do if you are creating a worker account for someone on your board or a tradesman or something like that. For someone who's working at your centre who needs an actual login for class so that they can actually work in class, doing that is very simple. You create the worker account, then you simply click on create system login. And this will open something that you may be familiar with. This is what you get when you're looking at a user account. So we've got a couple of things we need to do in here. You don't need to do any of this stuff like enter their position, their mobile number, or anything like that. If you don't want to, if you would like to, by all means, go ahead. The authentication type you probably want to leave as site default. And the security policy also default. The username. Usernames can only be used once across the entire class system. So if you use a username, for example, something like Samuel, no one else from any centre will be able to use that username, which is why a lot of centres like to use email addresses. So something like that, I think that might even be incorrect, but I'm not going to worry about that. This is just for demonstration purposes at the moment. I won't actually be using this account that I'm setting up right now, but never mind that. So once you create the username, that is what the person will need to use to log into class. So you might need to make a record of that or some such. The other thing we need to do once we're in here is to give them a role. Okay, so this is another part of the system where people get a little bit confused, and it is a little bit confusing. So we'll take you through the correct method of setting roles and permissions right now. Okay, so if we have a look in the roles, we can see quite a few of them. Now, you may not see as many as these, and depending on your level of permission for your account at class, you may see quite a lot fewer. If you do have admin or advanced admin permissions to class, then you should get a fairly long list of roles in here. So we have 4 roles that are the most relevant. So those roles are volunteer, general staff access, class admin, and class admin advanced. So the way the system works is that you select one of those and only one of those 4 roles. This is a little bit annoying in a way, really, because what happens if you select more than one of those is that the system gets a bit confused, and it then reverts that person to the lower level of permission. So if you select something like the person's a volunteer, and then later on you decide, okay, so there's all the volunteer permissions. If you then decide, well, we want to give them general staff access, and you simply click general staff access, that person then won't have general staff access. They'll have volunteer access. So if you want someone to have general staff access, you need to untick volunteer. They'll then have general staff access and not the volunteer access. They'll have the higher level of access. But if you have the 2 roles selected there, the system will revert them to the lower level, excuse me, of access to the system. So when we're setting up an account, we select one of those. I'll come back to the add-ons later on. So once we've set a role for this person, we can then simply save this account. Are there any questions so far? We do understand that this user management system in class is a little bit confusing.
Hi, Sam. We've had no questions come through the text box yet, but if you do want to ask a question live, or you would like me to read it out for you, please don't hesitate. You can also use the raise hand button if you'd like to come off mute and you're having trouble doing that, and I can reach out to you. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Alex. Okay, so that's creating a worker. We'll now move on to, so this is kind of like, if anyone knows databases, general database practice is the CRUD sort of practices: create, read, update, and delete. So that was the create. So to read the read function for a user account. So again, it's in system settings, and we click on user accounts now. So now we get this list of accounts here, and if you want to search, this is not very. I've changed that. Never mind that. We recommend just putting the person's name in that display name column there. Hit enter to search, and you'll get quite a few accounts that I probably should have deleted, or I have deleted some of those already. Never mind that either. Okay, so this is the account we just set up. So to read the account, you just simply click on that little link there. That will open the account for you. Okay, and now here's this user's account, and we can see all the information we have for this user account. And again, here are the roles. There's a role we set for this person, general staff access. I'll quickly go over what else we have down here in this user permission box, this big white box. So we've got the right name and the excluded right name. So in this middle column, right name, this will give you a fairly long list of all the privileges that this user account has for class, all the kinds of things that they can do, everything that they have permission to do with actions, that's all listed there. The reason I bring this up is that you can actually modify these accounts to give someone something like general staff access, but you can take away something like, I don't know, what's a good example? Something like deleting, if you don't want people to delete things. Anyway, you can remove some of the privileges. I'm just trying to, documents. Let's say you want someone to have general staff access privileges to class, but you don't want them to be able to manage documents. I don't know why you would want that, but this is just an example. You can actually click that button there, click save, and as we can see, as we will see. This now appears in the excluded right name column. So clicking there, we can see this thing that we just selected, managing documents. That's in this column, excluded, so that this user account no longer has permission to do this particular thing that we've removed. So you can go through the full list of all the privileges for this account and remove things if you do want to do that. So now I'll talk about the other things that the other roles that we get in here. Ignore some of these. These are just for our silly demo database. What I do want to talk about today are the add-ons. So we've got a whole bunch of add-on privileges here. So these can be used in conjunction with one of the four main roles. Again, they're volunteer, general staff, admin, and admin advanced. So admins and admin advanced people shouldn't need any of the add-ons. You may need them for things like accountability or something like that, possibly. Generally, you won't need them. They're mostly used for people who are volunteers or people who have general staff access. So I'm not sure if general staff access has access to reports, things like that. So you could give someone general staff access, and then you can add on reports. You can add on DIY reports, add on, excuse me, the child DIY reports. And this is a great time, just to give you a little bit of a tip here. When you are changing these roles in class, our advice is to tick a checkbox and wait for these spinny wheels to stop. It does take a while for this system to figure out exactly everything that it needs to add and remove from this account. As you can see, there is a fairly long list of stuff in here that it needs to add or remove from this particular account. So the best way to manage these roles is to simply tick a checkbox and wait for the wheels to stop spinning. So these are add-ons that can be used. Any of these can be used with one of the four main roles. And once you've set up your account the way you want it, you simply click save and close, something like that. So that's how we read an account, and that's updating the accounts as well. The other thing we can do, excuse me again, is removing accounts. So this would be the delete of the CRUD functions, but we don't actually have the ability to delete users from the system. As you can see up here, we can create a new account, but you don't actually do that from user accounts. We can export the list of accounts. We can do a few things up here. We can't actually delete any of these accounts, but we can remove accounts from class, and it is recommended that is done if someone leaves the center or goes on extended leave, something like that. So you just find your account, open the account up. Once you've got the account, you have two options here. So we can deactivate this account, or we can terminate the account. So a good example of a reason why you might deactivate an account would be for potentially someone who's going on maternity leave. So they might be going on leave for 12 months or however long, but then they're coming back to work, so that's fine. But we don't want their account active while they're on leave. So if that's the case, you simply untick this checkbox here. It says active. Once you save that, that will then deactivate that account. We do have a system within class where any accounts that haven't been logged into for 3 months will actually be automatically deactivated, but we do recommend doing that a little bit sooner than that 3 months. So you can deactivate the accounts if you like. The other option is to terminate an account, which is a bit of a scary sort of a phrase, but this is for someone who's decided they're they're leaving the organisation, perhaps even leaving the sector entirely, we suspect that they're probably not going to come back to the centre and work at the centre again. So we can simply remove their account altogether. To do that, we've just got this big red button here, terminate account. You click on that, you get this little confirmation box that tells you if you want to temporarily cease this user's account, it's best to cancel out and deactivate the account. If you really do want to terminate an account, you certainly can. You just simply click on that big red button and then click yes. Excuse me. So a couple of things on this. Okay, so we've terminated that account, and the first thing we can see is that the email address has changed. So this is now the email address. It's added this terminated and some number there. I guess that's something to do with the date, and a little underscore, and then whatever email address we had there. So email addresses can only be used once for each user account. Each account must have a unique email address. So this is a good way of changing an account, just like an example we had on the help desk the other day where someone's account had been set up incorrectly, which does happen because this system is so confusing. So we recommended terminating the account rather than deactivating it, because that then changes that email address, and that email address can then be used again. The only other thing that I will show you, there's a couple of other things in here. That one's terminated. I didn't want that. I think this one's active. The only other, so there's a couple more things that we have here. If someone's forgotten their password, we can send them, as the class admin, we can send them a password reset. If some people do have trouble resetting their own passwords, I don't know why this happens. A lot of people try and reset their password from the class login page, and they end up getting multiple emails to their email inbox, and the system just won't let them reset their password. If that's happening and someone at your center contacts you and tells you that that's happening, I would recommend just opening up their account and clicking this reset password button. If you just click yes, that will send them another email. We usually find that works, so try that if that happens. And then you can change the usernames for accounts. You just simply click on that button there, and you just put in a new username for, you just change it to whatever you like. And once you've done that, you just save and close. So I think that pretty much covers it for user accounts, really.
We've had a question come through, Sam.
That's great.
If staff doesn't use the account for more than 3 months, it will automatically deactivate. How can we make it reactive if that happens? Is it just about ticking the active box, as it seems to have not worked in the past?
Oh, really? It should. Yeah, that's the way you do that. So you find the account, you open the account up. Let's just say it's this one. You simply that box will be unticked. Simply tick that, save and close the account. That should reactivate their account. They may need to change their password again or something. I'm not sure, but that should work. If it doesn't, let us know at the help desk. Yeah, never mind this. Let us know at the help desk, and we'll help you get your accounts fixed if that does happen to you. But that is the way to reactivate accounts. Simply click that tick box there, and you can save and close the account. Any other questions there?
That's all that's come through at the moment. Thanks, Sam.
Okay, great. So that's pretty much it for user management. That's pretty much the full system. We do know it's a bit confusing and not particularly intuitive. That's the official way that the system works. Okay, so let's move on to admin tools. So while we're in system settings, I'm just going to go through a couple of things here for you kind of quickly. So we've got the center profile here. So if you click that, that's the information for your center. And you can fill out whatever of this that you like. Just So you know this information is definitely not up to date, but never mind that. You can add the address or addresses for your offices. If you have multiple offices or outreach locations, you can enter them into here. You can upload documents relevant to the center in here. I have no idea what that document is. We'll just ignore that. The main reason I wanted to bring this up today is that we have email servers. So you can set up your own email server within class. You do that by going to System Settings, Center Profile, Email Servers, then you click New. We have one here that someone has set up as a test email server. We can give you some guidance on how to do this, but we don't really have anyone at CLCs Australia who's a real expert in email servers. So we can help you set these up, and we did have someone just recently who set one up and had a little trouble setting it up. We tried to help. We eventually got it going in the end. I believe you need this protocol. You probably want to, you can give it whatever name you like. Send email using, yeah, you probably want to Google how to set up one of these. I think we have information on our website about this as well. I can go through that if anyone's interested in this particularly. As I was saying, we're not, excuse me, we're not particularly experts at this, but we can help you set one up if you like. Are there any questions about this, Alex, or will I just maybe move on?
We haven't had any questions come through about that particular topic. But again, if anybody wants to ask their question live, please feel free to come off mute and just let us know.
Thanks, Alex. The other thing I will take you through here are the audits. So we can audit pretty much anything and everything in class. Some of the audits are not super interesting. Some of them kind of can be. We do use them at the help desk, you know, reasonably regularly. So as you can see, we have 4 of them here. We've got the data audit log and the exception log. They're kind of similar. And then the other 2 are kind of similar as well, the user authentication log and the user session log. Let's have a look at the user session log first. Actually, I've gotten that wrong. The user authentication log. I think this is the better one. This is the one that we usually use. We use this for when people say they're having trouble logging in or something. This will give you a little bit of information about who logged in and when. So this is the account I'm logged into right now. As you can see, I logged in, that's today's date, at 11:22 a.m. I think that's the right time. This is the IP address I logged in from. Just so you know, that's the IP address for the class VPN, but never mind that. Anyway, a little bit of information here, which is not particularly relevant. This is the domain that was logged into, which I don't even know why that column's there. And this will tell you whether it was allowed or not. The one little thing I will take you through here is that if you see someone tried to log in and it says they were denied, and if you see this reason here, you have 9 more retry remaining. That means they got their password wrong and they need to try their password again. There are a couple, I think there's 1 or 2 more reasons why login attempts will be denied. Account does not have permission to access this content. Please contact your system administrator. So that's giving us some information there. Again, some of this is not super interesting, but there is some information there about login attempts made to class in the user authentication log. Then there's also the user session log, and again, much the same detail. There's the display name as well as the username that was logged in with. And we'll see here the date and time is different. I believe in that in the user authentication log, the one we were just looking at, I believe the time is set to I think it's UTC +10 or whatever it is. It's Sydney, Melbourne, Canberra, that time. time zone. I think this one's set to, I think it's Greenwich Mean Time or something like that. So this is not the correct time that this login attempt was made. And again, much the same information as that other, excuse me, or that other audit log that we were looking at. This one does give you the duration of how long someone was logged in for. So those are the user authentication and user session logs, so the user logs. We've also then got the data audit log. So this one will give you information about what has happened in class, and I think pretty much everything that's done in class is recorded. Service SA codes, apparently I updated, I don't even remember doing that. Never mind that. What we can see here is that I updated this user that I just created at this date and time, and that will be the correct date and time. And if we click on this little link here, this will open a box to give us some more information. So I set that user account to active. That's what it's telling us there. This might give us some more information. Yeah, not too much in there. Some of these can be quite detailed and give you quite a lot of information. So if you're trying to find out something that happened in class, who did what, when something was changed, when something was entered, you absolutely can find out that information through these audit logs. That's the data audit log that where you can find that sort of information. The other one is the exception log. I would recommend ignoring this one. So this is mainly here for the developers of class. I've had a look at some of these things and I can't understand any of this. I don't know what any of this means. If it means something to you, that's great. The stack trace, I don't know what that is. Yep. So if you want to have a look through here and if this might help you out, then great. If you want help with it, you can ask us at the help desk, but I don't really know of anyone at the help desk who understands this particular audit log very well, but it is there and you can see it if you like. Excuse me. Okay, so that's the audit logs. So if there are no more questions, I might move on to the admin tools.
Thanks, Sam. No questions have come through yet, but if they do, I'll certainly let you know.
Okay, great. Thanks, Alex. Okay, so we have this list of stuff here and we'll go through all of these today. We'll start at the top for, because this one's going to be the quickest. So we've got here mass email. I would also recommend ignoring this as this doesn't actually work. It's there, so I didn't want to ignore it. Excuse me. So I'm just going over this very quickly. It was put into class at the beginning when class was first designed with the intention that it would someday work, and we've never really gotten around to actually making this work, but maybe one day we will. So that's that one there. The next one is the email log. So this will give you a list of the emails that were sent from class. Apparently the last one that was sent for us was on, that's actually today. I just looked at this yesterday or something and I saw the last one was the 28th of the 8th. Anyway, never mind that. This will give a list of emails that were sent from class. If you want to, if you're looking for information on which emails were sent, or probably what's probably more interesting, what emails weren't sent, you can have a look for those emails in here. And if you're setting up your own email server, this may be of quite a bit of use to you. Otherwise, potentially not. The next one down is the message board. So this is the message board and where we make edits to our message board. So as we know, we log into class and we get the class message board where we send you messages, and then you have your center message. And as we can see here, this is the same as that. So that's where you edit this message board. You come to tools, message board, you get this, you can put whatever messages in there you like. Click save and close, and that message will be available to all the staff at your center. Excuse me. Okay, so the next one is bulk inserts. So this one will take a little longer to discuss, but it's not too tricky. Bulk inserts are for entering just a general number of information or referral services. So rather than entering each individual information or referral that you do at your center, you could keep a count of them somewhere, and then just enter them all. What you do is you enter them at the end of the month or at the beginning of a new month. So as you can see, they're categorized by year and month. We haven't done one for August. Let's do one. Okay, so in the bulk inserts, if you want to do one, and you can edit these old ones, but we'll just create a new one. You just click new, you get this, you put in your year. Why is this not working? Oh, it's going on. Just a minute. What's going on? There we go. All right. Okay. Then you select the year. We'll say this was for last month. You can put notes in if you like, but as you can see, it's not required. You can put in your funding category, and like funding, just choose your funding category that this is relevant to. And then your referral type. So if you're doing this for informations and not referrals, which you can do, you would probably just leave that as simple. If you're doing this for referrals, you could do one each month. You could do 3 each month. 1 for informations, 1 for referrals, and 1 for facilitated referrals, 1 for simple referrals, or you could do 2 and combine a couple of those figures if you wanted. We have this box here, this tick box lock. You need to untick that to be able to actually edit your to enter your data. So once you've put in your year, month, funding category, and chosen one of these, unlock it, click save. And for those of you who haven't seen this before, this is going to look a bit scary, but it's actually really not. So we've now got exactly what we had before, except we've got a new tab here, details. So once we click on this, we get this enormous grid. Once it loads, it seems to be quite slow loading this. It is quite large. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Yeah, so it looks pretty scary, but it doesn't need to be. So we've got the problem types here, so you can enter data for each of the different problem types if you like. Give me a moment. Oh, there we go. It does scroll quite slowly, this as well. For each of the different problem types, you can enter all the referrals you did and who the referrals were to. So maybe you referred someone to a dispute resolution service for, I don't know, whatever problem type it is. You can enter that in there and say we did one of those, or whatever you like, and you can go through and fill out the entire grid if you like. You don't have to do that. The simple way to do this is to keep a count of your informations that you do. You then simply scroll to the bottom of this grid, and in the bottom right corner you'll get informations, problem type other, and you can say for the month of August we did 500 informations. If you wanted to just count up all your referrals in one go as well, you can. I know that a lot of centres like to actually keep data on referrals, pretty concise data on where referrals are coming from and who people are being referred to. If you're not interested in doing that, if you just want to do a bulk insert, you can do that. You can say we did other referrals for other problem type. We did 500 of those this in the month of August as well. And once you've got that information entered in, you simply click save. Excuse me. That will save that information. What happens then is when you run a report, those 500 informations and those 500 referrals will be counted in your reports. So those numbers will go up by 500 each, or whatever number you put into there. So now that we've saved that, we want to come back to this bulk insert tab. We want to lock this, and and save it again. We don't want people entering information into these, so we want to keep those locked. I'm just going to go and have a quick look at an old one. Is that the new one I just did? It is. Excuse me, let me choose a different one. Okay, so this is the one for April. I'm just going to unlock that, click save. And now we can edit that data that that's in here. Yeah, so if you do need to edit that data, you need to untick that that checkbox locked. So that box is there just for people who are familiar with the bulk insert system. We just keep these locked so hopefully they won't change any of the data that we've entered into these. So that's the bulk insert system. Any questions on that?
Hi, Sam. Not at the moment. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Why use the bulk insert and not a report?
The bulk insert is not actually a report. This is a way to enter a number of services that you've done into class in one go. So the other way to do that would be to enter each service one by one. So you will go to class, new intake, enter a new service, you'd enter it as an information service, you'd then move on, do the next one, enter the next service into class, but you don't actually have to do that. The way the bulk insert works is that you can count them up. You can count them up in like a spreadsheet or whatever you want to do. And then at the end of the month, just enter the number of information services that your center has done into the system all in one go. And then you don't need to enter all of those services into class one by one. So if you were then to run a report on the number of information or referral services that you did within that month, that number that you entered into the bulk insert, that will be counted in the reports. So we're not actually getting any data out of class, we're actually putting data into class. I hope that answers that question. Please let me know if it hasn't.
Thanks, Sam. If Ariel asks another question, I will let you know.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
All right. Okay. So the next thing is printout templates. This one is tricky. Bulk inserts is a little bit tricky. Printout templates is very tricky. I can't even remember any of these that can be edited. I'm just going to try and find one. So if you think the bulk insert screen looks scary, this one is actually scary. So we'll wait for this to load. That was what I was looking for. So these are templates that we can set up so that you can print things onto paper, and you can have templates designed however you like. As you can see, this is a really complex system. I don't really know how it works very well. We've pretty much only got one person on the help desk who knows this system reasonably well. So I think we're going to maybe do some training on this because there are so few people who understand how this system works. But basically, I'm showing you this because you can set up print templates and have whatever data you want set up into a template, and then the things that you print out, the letters that you print, the letters that you draft up for your clients, or the letters that you draft that you send to your clients, anything that you print for office management, anything like that, you can have a template set up for you. We usually say, if you want those, contact us at the help desk and we will do it for you. If this system makes any sense to you, you're more than welcome to go ahead and attempt to set them up yourself. If this makes no sense to you, like it doesn't to me, then you can ask us at the help desk for help with these printout templates, and we'll try and get them set up however you like. So I'm not going to talk about this one too much more because I don't really understand this system, so I can't really explain it to you. Fire us a question at the help desk if you want help with the printout templates. Okay, we'll just move on to the email templates. There are a couple of interesting things in here. So I'm just going to try this. I get a little confused with some of these systems. Yeah, it's not that one. So if you want to edit one of these email templates, you click on, so for the printout templates, they've got a really nice little icon here. Excuse me. Printout templates. To edit one of those, you click on this little icon with the pencil and the set square. But for email templates, you don't click on the little piece of paper, the magnifying glass icon. You click on the link there in the name column, and that will bring up this for you. So I believe what happened recently was that someone was trying to set up an email server. Going back to the email servers, if you are setting them up, you need to set up an email template. You need to select the sender profile. So there's the sender profile, there's the test email server that we've set up, and that will help you get your email templates working. So I believe how these work is that we've got a whole bunch of sort of code looking stuff here. So you can take any of these things and put them into the template. So anything you like, you can have the client's, I don't know, first name, you can copy that, paste it there, probably change what this says. That's a bit not very professional, never mind that. You can then copy the last name, paste that in there, so that will when you send an email reminder, that will put in the client's name at the top there, and this is how we set up the email templates. This is for when we're creating actions and reminder dates, and sending ourselves reminders from actions. We can set up the email that we get sent to us to look the way we want and to contain the data that we want. And there's a fair bit of it in there that we can add to the email. You can set the subject line, so you can set that to be whatever you want. Yeah, this is how we set up these email templates. So whether you're setting it for a critical date reminder, the user reset password, you could set the email template up for that if you like. I think the critical date reminder is one of the more common ones. Maybe the calendar file email, you might want to set up the email template for that. Give it a name, whatever you like. You can give it a description if you like. Don't have to. You probably want to leave this active. There's probably not much point in setting one up if you're not going to have it active. If you've got one and you've just decided you don't like it anymore and you want to make a new one, you've made a new one, you could deactivate this one and set the new one as the default. So when you're creating an action, this email template will be the one that's auto selected when you're setting up that that action. Any questions on email templates?
Not at this moment, but if something comes through, I'll definitely let you know.
Okay, great. I might move on. On this. Okay. The last thing here we have for today is client merges. So we can merge two clients together. We all know that we're all only human. We all make mistakes. There's also the possibility that you enter someone into triage and then they accidentally get entered into the system as a second client when they've already got you've already got that client in the system. This is actually one of my favorite bits in the training anyway. What we usually say is that we recommend that people do this process very, very carefully. And the reason for that is that this process can't be reversed. and it says here, and you actually need to tick this checkbox before you do merge clients. And it says here, understand this process is irreversible. I know there are other places in class where you get error messages that say this process is irreversible, and that's not actually really true. In this case, it's about as true as it's going to get. The only way to reverse this process, if you do merge two clients and then you've realized that those clients weren't supposed to be merged, there is one way to reverse that process, but that would require going to all 180 or so centers that have class instances and asking them if they'd be okay with having the database rolled back to just before the date and time that these two clients were merged. You could ask us to do that at the help desk if you like. Our response is probably going to be no. We'd probably ask you to go and do that. I can imagine you would. You could probably guess pretty easily what the responses you would get to that question would be. You can just try to imagine what your response would be if someone asked you that question. So it doesn't come up very often, but occasionally we do get people asking us or coming to us and saying, we know you said that this process is irreversible. Just how irreversible is it? Yeah, so that's the only way possible to get this process reversed, which is extremely unlikely. So that's why we recommend doing this process very carefully. So to do this, to merge a couple of clients, you enter the client IDs. No, I'm going to have to try and guess at a couple of client IDs here. Just let me see if I can figure this out. No, give me a moment. I should have been much more prepared than this. Apologies for being as unprepared as I am. This won't take too long. Okay, well, this should be clients with those. Anyway, we'll go back. 324 and 193. 324 and 193. Okay, so there is these clients. Okay, so as we can see, we've got this client. There's the client's name. There's the client's date of birth. Then we've got client 2. There's the client's name and date of birth. There's the list of services for client 1, the list of services for client 2, and you can download these details if you want. I'm just going to click that one because that's probably going to download a file to my machine. There it is. You get that in a PDF. We can have a quick look at that if you like. It's not terribly interesting. It will just give you a printout of the information for that client if you want to really be careful, which we do recommend, and you can check that way if you like. If you are certain that you do have two clients who are the same person, you can merge one into the other. So the way to do that is to say, well, this client has fewer services, maybe we just merge those over to this one. You might wind up in the circumstance where this client doesn't have the up-to-date information, things like email addresses, phone numbers, and street addresses. So maybe we want to send all of these services and all of the details for this client over to this client. So we want to say merge into this client. If you wanted to merge into that client, you could do that. You just tick whatever box you want to remain as the active client record for this client. This client record will be removed, but all of these services and everything will be copied over and inserted into this client. So once we've found our clients, decided which one we want to merge into, you tick this checkbox and hit merge clients. And again, we get another message. And this one does say, please be careful. Yeah, this is not something we can undo. I'm just going to go, yeah, why not? This is all dummy data in there anyway, so no problems there. Okay, so I think we just removed client 193, I think. Let's sort of refresh here. And as we can see, client 193 is now gone. We've got a whole bunch of additional names just turned up there. So all of those, the name for the client that we just removed will be in additional names. All of the phone numbers, email addresses, all of those details will be in the additional details for this remaining client, and this client should now have a whole bunch of services. I think before we did that merge, that client only had 2 services. We'll have a look now. There we go. So all of those services are now were now carried across. So that's the client merge system. I'll just state one more time just to be quite careful with that. Okay, so we're running a little bit ahead of time today, but we've pretty much covered most of it. Just let me check what else I need to go through. That's about it, really. I mean, I could go through things like copying services and filter builder, but personally, I think that's kind of more of a general user training session kind of thing. If people have anything that they would like me to go through, please pop that into the chat function. Otherwise, if there's nothing else that people want to have discussed today or any other questions, we might be able to wrap up a little bit early today.
Hi Sam, we've had a question come through. The printout you did before you merged, is there another way to get that information?
Sure. So I guess there is the printout. Just give me a moment. I'm just going to try and answer this question as well as I can.
And just while you're doing that,
Yep.
We've had another question as well, just with wanting to have a look at geolocation.
Okay, sure. Can I just ask, is that person referring to geolocation and retagging? I can absolutely go through that. Now for this, you can download the client details. So someone's asking, is there another way to get this information? Oh, I'm sorry. Did they want to know if they can get it in any way other than a PDF? If they could let us know that.
That wasn't specified, but I think if there's another way to get that sort of printout, perhaps, is my first instinct. Yes, I just want to be able to print it out. So,
okay.
Yeah, so is there a way aside from merging clients to get the full client download?
Yeah, I believe so. So we'll come into class, search clients, find your client, open the client there. Okay, so now we've got the client details here. We've also got the additional details, their services, documents, client audit. So from this screen, we can print this client record. You just click on that. It will bring up a little screen for you. And there's another way to get the information printed out. You might have to print this one. This is only one page, one of one. You might have to print this and then go and print the additional details as well. One of the things that's also not very intuitive in class is how to close these print screens. It's this big red box here. That's to close there. You click that to close the print screens. So if you've printed all of that client information, to be honest with you, I'm not sure if you can print additional details. No, it doesn't look like you can print the additional details, unfortunately. Does that person want to let us know if there's some other way that they'd like to get access to that data, or if that will work for them?
Yep, I'll just wait for their comments on that. We have had another couple of comments come in. It was the geolocation and retagging.
Yep.
And we've also had a question with regards to capturing the COVID cases. So Victorian CLCs
Okay.
have been told to set an influencing tag to capture COVID cases. How do we do that?
Okay. We would recommend contacting the Federation of Community Legal Centres to ask them about that. We're working on a system to captured data in relation to COVID-19 on a national level. The Victorian State Peak already have a system generated for Victorian centres. We're not really aware of what that system is in full detail, so our recommendation would be contacting the Federation and asking them about that system. I believe they do have some documentation they can send to you that should explain how to set up that system. Again, we are generating a system on a national level, which we hope will be ready very soon. We know that all centres are very eager to set this up as soon as possible. So we are working on it. If you are a Victorian centre, you may want to speak to the Federation about which system you want to use. If you should be using the Victorian system or the national system, and whether you should set up the Victorian system or wait for the national system. Geolocation and retagging, I can show you right now. Okay. So I'll go to search services. Yeah, sure.
Sorry, just quickly. The printout thing was good as it was. Thank you.
Great, sure thing. So
Thanks.
I'll go through geolocation and retagging. If class will work for me, that should work. I don't know why it's not. Apologies for this. I don't know what's happening. I'll try it again. There we go. Great. Okay. So geolocation and retagging. It's a nice little system. It really is. What it does is that every time you enter a service into class, the service will be tagged with geolocation data, just being the address of the client. You can't actually see it in here. There's no address details within the service itself. The address details for the client are saved in the client screen, not the server screen, but all of these services are tagged in the back end of class with that geolocation data. So what can happen is that, just as an example, our client, maybe we have an appointment with our client, whether that be in the office, over the phone, whatever it is, and maybe the client tells us, well, I've moved house since the last service that you did for me. That's not a problem. We need to update that address for that client. We know how to do that. You just go to additional details, put in the new address, mark it as primary, and save and close. Then what happens is you realize 30 seconds later, oh, hang on, I forgot that that client told me that they'd moved house, and I've already entered this service. Well, this service will then have the incorrect geolocation data in it. It's not a massive issue, but if you want to, this is a nice little system because it keeps our data just that little bit cleaner. So we do run reports, and a lot of those reports are based on location. We like to be able to tell our funders where our clients are coming from, where they live and whatnot. So if you do enter a service and then you realize that the location data on this service is incorrect, you can just simply click this retag button. It'll ask you, are you sure you want to retag the service? Just click yes. And the primary address for that client will be tagged in the back end of class for this service. I hope that explains that geolocation and retagging feature we've got in class. Let me know if anyone wants any more detail on it, but that's the basic system. Any other questions or anything else that anyone else would like to discuss today?
We've just had a confirmation that yes, that does, thank you, answer the geolocation and retagging.
Yeah, great.
If anybody else has any questions or they'd like to come off mute, please definitely do. We're here to help.
Yeah, so that's about it for today's session, unless there are any other questions. I'll just show you again quickly where to find the list of training sessions that we're running. So you just click the little button there for help. That brings you across to our class documentation. Then in this right-hand menu, you click on training. And then once that loads, apologies for how slow our website is as well. We're working on that too. My computer seems to be running a little slow today. Okay, so once that loads, you click on training, click on, excuse me, the class training schedule. And that will bring you across to the list of class training sessions that we have coming up. And as well as that, you can also, you can watch the videos of the old training sessions. We have pretty much all of the training sessions that we do on the website, and there are videos for those. You can watch them at any time you like. Oh, God, this is so slow. Apologies for this. Yeah, that's where you find that list. I'm just going to load something up because this is clearly taking a long time. I don't know why this is so slow. Apologies for this. Okay. So that's about it for today. If you do have any questions for us, you can ask us questions right now while we're here, or you can ask us the questions at the help desk. Don't know what's wrong with the website. It doesn't seem to be working right now. I'm not sure why. Apologies for that. Yep, not working. Apologies for that. In which case, I think we're just about through today's session, unless there are any other questions.
Nothing's come through yet, but it might be a little bit slow. Our website is a little bit slow today. We do apologize for that.
Yeah, okay. I was just going to mention in here, Emergence, we actually have a webinar coming up in relation to COVID-19 and capturing data regarding COVID-19. We have a webinar coming up as part of our webinar series. So to find information for that webinar, you come to our website, hover over Emergence, and you'll get a drop down which says webinars. You click on there and you'll find a list in there for the upcoming webinars, and in there somewhere around the 22nd or 23rd, somewhere around there, we've got a webinar coming up for COVID-19 and data in relation to COVID-19. I'm probably going to be watching that webinar myself. I expect it will be quite interesting, and I'm also thinking there'll be quite a lot of interested people for that session, as that will probably be a pretty interesting session. So thought I'd just mention that. I might be able to show you right now. No, sorry. Okay, just give me a minute. I'll see if this will load. Okay, here it is here. So once you click through to webinars, you get the list of them coming up, and this is it here. 22nd of September, how do we measure the impact of COVID-19, a community legal sector perspective. A little bit of information on what the session will be. There's the date and time of it. The presenters are James Oakerby and Susan Scott, both wonderful people, and you can register for the session there. Okay, so we're a little bit early today, but I think that's about it for today's session, so we might wrap it up for today. Thank you to everyone who participated in today's training session. We hope you got something out of it, and we hope you all have a wonderful afternoon and evening.
Thanks, everyone.
And before I forget, my apologies for this. A special thanks to Alex Reddy for facilitating this today. Alex is also a very wonderful person too. Thanks everyone, bye.
Thanks, Sam, you're very wonderful too. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye-bye, everyone.